Welcome to Dr. Hayslett's Practice Corner. I'm the cello professor at MTSU, and I am looking forward to talking to you about your MTSBOA audition. 1, 2, 3. Now, in looking at this excerpt for the 7/8 audition, we have a few things to pay attention to. First of all, being the tempo. I would recommend that you practice it at quarter note equals 132, because then we're right in the middle of the tempo range, so that when you get a little bit nervous during your audition and you go a little bit faster or a little bit slower, you're still within the marked tempo range. Now in 3/4, we have to be very careful that we are remembering to emphasize the first beat, at least in our minds. So in measure 2, we're going to reach that on an up bow, and playing beat 1 on an up bow can be a confusing thing, but as long as we mark it in, then it won't throw us off while we are playing. So when you're first doing this, I would learn the rhythm, so speak through the rhythm, perhaps play the rhythm on an open string or clap it, whatever you're comfortable with. Then find a layout of where the notes are going to be. Now I would recommend that you stay in first position until we get to measure 10. So if from measure 9, we begin the crescendo. Then on this D, we're going to play a second finger. Now, how do I practice that shift? If I'm playing second finger D, then that means my first finger is on C sharp. You're exactly right. In first position, we would play that C sharp with a third finger. But instead, we are going to move our first finger to that spot. So when you practice it, add in that extra note. I'm going to go from measure 10, because I don't need to play that whole passage. I'm going to start right on measure 10, which I know is an up bow, because I've already marked my beat 1s that are up bows. And I'm going to practice that until that is comfortable. Notice when I shift, I am not going to be going quickly. I'm not going to use my hand. My whole arm is moving for a side view. That's what I'm looking for, that our elbow is moving in space there, that we're not shifting this way, but getting that arm moving. And then I will move my hand into that position, but I'm not going to play the C sharp. All right. And it's a little arpeggio, which is kind of fun. So that's how I would practice that shift. And then you stay in that position. Going on, in measure 13, we will continue being in first position. On this B, we're going to shift back to 2 into half position. If you are a fan of those numbered positions, or if you hate math, then don't worry about it. But we're going to shift back into half position. So how I'm going to do that? Again, my elbow is going to pull my hand back. I'm going to open my shoulder. All right, that kind of opening, not just moving my elbow, closing my elbow, but moving that shoulder. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release the weight a little bit in my left hand. I'm not gonna stop my bow. So you hear that little harmonic-y noise almost in there? It's because the weight of my finger is coming out of the string and going down. So my finger is essentially going from my second finger C to my second finger B, like this. Not second finger C to second finger B. If I do that, then we're gonna have a nice juicy slide, which is not in the music. So let's try not to do that. Then we will go back to first position in measure 17. Then I'm going to shift up into fourth position. Now, as a reminder, in our first position, our little pinky friend here is on D, and I'm going a whole step higher up to my first finger E. Now, without getting into all of the complexes of shifting, that is a more individualized lesson. We are going to be aiming a whole step above our fourth finger, and that's where our weight's going to come down for measure 19. Please do not forget your F sharp. That's third finger in this position in measure 19 on beat 2. Third finger, and then that A sharp, I would shift back into half position. That's my preferred option. Let's say that's really uncomfortable for you. You could play it on the D string, second finger, but then we have a very quick shift back to this E, which is not so ideal. So I prefer that we go from here, half position, 1, and then stay there. Okay, vibrato. Do not forget your vibrato. Dynamics, mezzo piano, which means we're not going to be over the fingerboard. We're going to be about in the middle, a little closer to the fingerboard, anywhere in this range. So and that will help us have a nice strong sound. I'm not going to use a lot of bow. That's the other thing. Keep it condensed. Notice how much bow I'm using, right? If you are having a hard time with that, you're going to take your index finger and you're going to swipe up right there on the string, and that gets you a little bit of rosin on your finger. And then with that rosin, you can mark a line. Do another swipe, and you can mark another line, and have two marks that are about that far apart. That is going to be your goal. Notice I'm not starting right at the frog, because mezzo piano, right at the frog, it's not going to make the sound I want. I'm going to start closer to the balance point. Like I say, about that much bow. What is that, a fourth of a bow or so? If you like math, then you can let me know exactly what that fraction is that you are using in your bow. I highly encourage you to figure out those numbers. And we're just going to use that much bow on each of the quarter notes. Now in measure 3, I want you to be aware of those dots. The downbeat of measure 3 will be down bow. And then we need to go short, short. Right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going pinch, 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 pinch. I'm not doing short, short, or short, short this way. I'm doing a little bit of a pinch here with my fingers. And that's going to help me articulate the beginning of those notes. So an exercise for that is to place your bow where you will be playing it. So I'm thinking of how far out in the bow am I? I'm about in the middle. Where's my contact point? Also in the middle. And from there, I'm going to do just some push-ups. So that pinch that I was talking about between your thumb and index finger. Your thumb is the fulcrum, and the weight of your arm is in your first finger. So with those push-ups, let's see if we can get up here. Notice how the stick goes close to the string. That is how I'm going to start the dotted notes, and then I will release when I move it. So I have pinch, and then I release and go. I pinch, and I release and go. All right, it doesn't need a big pinch, but if you practice doing those larger pinches, then that's going to give you the feeling of that motion. Now, in measure 5 and measure 6, we have an accent. Don't think of this as a hit them in the face accent. Think of this as a beautiful accent. We're in mezzo piano. We are not in fortissimo aggressive land. So when we get there, we will be on an up bow. So notice how I'm going to give my vibrato a little extra wiggle on that accent, and I'm doing another one of these little pinches, which you probably can't even see on the video because all of that is happening behind my hand and beneath my skin. So not only am I a little bit of vibrato, increasing that pinch at the beginning of the accent, I'm going to do a little bit of extra speed. So I'm going to have normal speed, bum, 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 bum. Just a little bit of extra speed on that. And that's going to bring out the accent to be more of a beautiful accent, not an angry accent. Watch your crescendo in measure 9. Be sure that you are crescendoing that over all of the 2 measures, rather than we're soft, then suddenly we get loud. So how do we practice that? We're going to take an open string, and we have to crescendo over 6 beats. So I'm going to essentially play 2 measures, and I'm going to start mezzo piano, and each note I'm going to try and get louder and louder. So let's play a mezzo piano note, and then let's play a forte note. Let's do that again, mezzo piano, and then forte. I'm using more bow, I'm using slightly more weight. I'm not going to worry too much about changing my contact point right now. Now we have to fill in the space. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And I'm going to try and increase from that mezzo piano to forte. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So practice that till that gets comfortable. Then you just need to add in the other notes. And we're feeling, as we're doing that, essentially we're doing 6 beats of slowly adding our weight and slowly increasing our speed. Now, same thing in measure 13, but we're only going to mezzo forte. We do want it to be noticeably louder than mezzo piano, but not quite as loud as your forte. If you have any questions about this at all, please feel free to send me an email. I would be glad to answer anything specific that you have, and I am wishing you the best on your audition.